So you're looking for the perfect rug and you want it quick, easy, and affordable. So you're choosing Amazon for their return policy, but you do not want to package up an 8x10 rug or a 9x12 rug and bring it back to returns. So today I'm gonna teach you how to pick a rug out on Amazon quick, easy, and nail it on the first try. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you how to narrow down your search so you don't feel so overwhelmed. I am then going to give you my top 5 rugs on Amazon that I absolutely love. And then I want to show you how to build a whole room around these rugs so then you can really learn how to use them in the space. And lastly, there is one thing about Amazon rugs that just is a thorn in my side, and I'm gonna give you the secret to making these Amazon rugs just absolute perfection in your home. So let's get started. First up, we're gonna narrow down the search. You've decided that you're gonna buy a rug on Amazon, and now we're going to put in the search Loloi rugs. Loloi. It is a really hard rug company to say, so from now on I'm just gonna say Loloi. Here's the name of this rug that I'd like you to put in search, and then that's gonna take us one step down, and then the next funnel down that we're going to go is we're going to start to search by interior designers. There are 3 different interior designers that are designing rugs for Loloi that are just incredible. And so I want you to put them in your search so then you can see the options that they give you. The 3 designers I want you to put in are Amber Lewis, Chris Loves Julia, and then Angela Rose. These 3 women are designing rugs for Loloi. They're making vintage inspired rugs affordable to you. I mean, does it get any better than that? It doesn't. So then after we go to these designers, then we're gonna whittle our choices down again, and we're gonna pick the color, and then we're gonna pick the size, and then bam, you have the perfect rug, and then we're gonna build the room around it. So first up, Amber Lewis, the Billie Rug in Ink and Salmon. So I love this rug because I love the pattern and I love the richness, but it still feels like it could bring a lot of neutrals around it. It will really ground the space for a light and bright and airy house like mine. So I love this rug. It's actually my top one that from Amber Lewis. It's the Billie in Ink and Salmon. All these rugs are listed below, so don't worry if you're just following along and you're just looking at the pictures. All the information you need is linked below. So number 2, Chris Loves Julia Francis collection, and see how the picture that comes up on Amazon is of this rug. But if you click over to the natural Pebble, it's the coolest neutral rug. I think this is a winner, and a lot of people do too because it is low on stock and sizes, and I am sure they will restock this one because it is so popular. However, if you're looking for a neutral right away, then I want to give you a second option from the Chris Love Julia line that is another neutral that I did notice they have more in stock, and that is the Poly in natural and beige. So this is another neutral from Chris Loves Julia that this would work in a lot of rooms. I would encourage you to order a sample because this might go a little yellow beige versus that cool beige that we want, that like brighter, whiter beige. But this is another really easy rug, really neutral. This Poly rug, I really don't think you can go wrong in your space. It's a great option. So number 3 is from Angela Rose. This is from her Colton collection, and there is a bunch of different ones I love from this collection. I love the ivory and black. That actually reminds me of a lot of the custom rugs that I brought into my home. It is also perfect if you were doing that white, black, and cognac look. This would be perfect to pull that whole look together. I also love it in the natural and brown. She puts this in her dining room and it just looks so good, and it's such a great neutral option with like a little bit of like got a little sass. And lastly, from the Colton collection, I love the natural and ivy. I just feel like this is a great neutral rug. I think that if you're going for that coastal, really all natural feel, this is a great option for your space. So Angela Rose, I love the Colton rug from her collection. Okay, number 4, we're going back to Amber Lewis. I like the Alie in her collection. It is actually a neutral, but it's also have that vintage inspired look, but the pattern is so small and subtle that it really becomes a neutral. And I gotta tell you, I like every color. You cannot go wrong with this rug. You just have to decide what color palette you're going for the room. And then the Alie has a little something for every color palette. So I really love the Amber Lewis Alie collection. So number 5 is still with Loloi rugs, and it is a Layla collection, olive and charcoal. And I actually own it. This is the most Instagrammable rug. And the reason why it's the most Instagrammable rug is because it really pulls in like a lot of neutrals. It pulls in the browns and the dark and the natural colors. So if you've been online and you're like, what is that rug that everyone's putting in their home? It's the Loloi Layla rug in olive and charcoal. It is a great rug and I highly recommend because the color palette, it works with in so many spaces. So those are my top 5. I'm not gonna give you 20, 30 rugs. Those are the ones that I really, really like. I don't wanna waste anyone's time or money putting up a bunch of different options. You could really create a beautiful room with an affordable rug. So there are my top 5 options. If you're still here, we're gonna do some heavy lifting. We are actually gonna build a room around a rug. See, the thing is that if you are an interior designer, well then the whole world is your oyster, and that you can pick a palette and then you can bring all your textiles in, same way that when an artist is going to make a painting, the whole world is at their fingertips because they have that talent to then put it on canvas. But for homeowners like myself, I like a jumping off point. I like a paint by numbers option so I do not get it wrong. And the way I look at it is rugs in artwork can define a palette. The reason why I say rugs in artwork over paint colors, most people, when they start on a room, they go right to the paint deck. And that is an error because there's so many paint colors that then can be catered to the room. You really want to start with a piece of art or a rug because there's fewer of those options that you're going to want to bring into the room and to enjoy. Hold on, let me show you. So if we have the rug, we're gonna build off. This is our paint by number. And what we're gonna do is that you're gonna see that there's a white in here, but it's not a bright white, it's more of an oatmeal white. And what you wanna do is just the way you do on puzzle pieces where you try to find like that like undertone, you have to really look at the detail within the product to bring it in. And so here I have a pillow that's an oatmeal tone. It's not like a bright white, but it's still within the palette. And then I also have a brown pillow that I would bring in, and it kind of is just picking up the brown undertones. And that's how you're gonna build your neutral palette as you're bringing these rugs into a room. Now, the other thing I really would like you to know about these vintage and styled rugs have a really busy pattern, so everything else around them should remain quiet or light and bright. If it's going to be in the darker hue, then everything else could be lightened up around it, and that's how they're really working. They're really grounding the space. When design started going towards that white and airy, then all the professionals were like, whoa, we need something that's going to ground the space. And they started to gravitate towards these vintage inspired rugs. They actually started to bring in vintage rugs, and then they needed vintage inspired because vintage rugs are quite pricey and harder to find. And so they kind of just made these more accessible to homeowners like myself. So it is a real win-win if you're doing that light and airy look to bring in this style rug to give you that depth that you're looking for. So another tip I want to touch upon is buying a sample. They give you an 18 by 18 sample. I really like the 2x3. I buy the whole big enchilada because it really allows me to slide it under my space to see how I would like it in the room. But if you buy yourself a ginormous sample like this self, now the thing is that you gotta take this to Home Goods. You gotta take it to Target. You gotta take it to Marshall's. Maybe you're going to Pottery Barn. Yes, you're gonna be the weird lady in Marshall's and Home Goods with the rugs, but you're gonna nail it. You're gonna bring in the pieces that actually go along with the rug, and it's gonna save you from going back and forth. So absolutely be the weird person with the large rug sample. Put it on the ground, get cozy, put pillows on it, bring in all your different things that you want to bring into the room, and really start to design your whole room around your rug. That leads me to my last point, which is my biggest problem with these rugs, and that is how thin they are. The fact that I could fold this up and get my massive mom purse and put it in my bag and go shopping with my rug at Home Goods makes me think the rug is just a little too thin. And in some instances, a too thin rug will work. I think that in an office, when you're having a sliding chair, a thin rug works. I also think under a dining space where you're moving a lot of different chairs, then a thin rug does work. But in a bedroom or a living room where you're like wanting to be very cozy, then this thin rug is just a little bit too thin. Well, how I want to overcome this one thorn in my side is to put a rug pad underneath the rug, but not any rug pad. Now this is a Mama Jamma awesome rug pad. You can buy this at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it is Nike sneakers all crushed up and crunchy. And it really is thick, and it takes a thin rug and it gives it bounce and give. And that makes you feel good when you're rolling on the ground with your kids and having fun, and you just kind of wanna like hop out of bed and smush your feet down on something. And it really does bring in that overall cozy feel on a really thin rug. There's my top 5 rugs for Amazon. There's my solution to that thin rug, and there was a quick tutorial how to use a rug to bring a whole room together. So I'm curious, how do you buy your rugs in this sea of so many rug options? How do you narrow it down? I am so curious to hear how other people narrow down their search, so please leave a comment below. It would mean so much to me if you would subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.